and the Universal Mind with Roderick Watkins is airing live 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This broadcast is a live feed via internet on Blog Talk Radio. Connect with us on Facebook.com/loudmouthonline and like our page. We want to thank everyone that's actually tuning in this evening for the Universal Mind with Roderick Watkins. We're in for a great show. And we are available for live chat on blogtalkradio.com/loudmouthradio. Be sure to check with us each Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to listen in on the show as a live listener. You may be able to dial in at 347-826-7520. If you have questions regarding this broadcast or would like to reach us for advertising, call our Loudmouth Media offices at 706-363-3895 during business hours of 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Loudmouth Radio is one of the Internet's hottest online radio networks that are geared towards empowerment, inspiration, and entertainment. Connect with us live, online, and on demand 24/7. And make sure to share your thoughts on what inspires you. And now, your actual host for the evening, Mr. Roderick Watkins.
Good evening, and welcome to the Universal Mind. I'm your host, Roderick Watkins, and we are live on the new Loudmouth Radio Network. Tonight, our topic is relationships and spiritual development. If you want to call in, please call us at 347-826-7520. You can also reach us on Facebook at loudmouthradio.com, or you can reach us on Twitter at loudmouth, LOUDVMOUTH, for any questions that you have. So tonight's going to be a good evening. We have recently the Supreme Court just heard two cases. One of them was regarding DOMA, which is the Defense of Marriage Act, being if it's constitutional or not. And the other one is Prop 8 in California. And this was basically gay couples in Los Angeles or in the state of California, at one time had the right to marry. And that right was taken away from them through the vote. And so now this case is being argued before the Supreme Court if that case actually had any validity. So it just got me to thinking that, hey, this would be a good topic. Relationships make up a very big part of our lives. I mean, we're involved in all kinds of relationships, not just romantic ones. And we've all heard the same, I'm sure, no man is an island, or woman for that matter, an island unto themselves. Our relationships help us grow. They allow us to experience or see things that we might not see on our own. So with that, I have a special guest tonight. Well, actually, he'll be during this second half, which is Dr. Madhi. He's a professor or assistant professor at Arizona State University, and he'll be joining us a little bit later. But first, because of the Supreme Court case and the case is going on, a decision hasn't been made yet, I thought, we don't hear from black gay couples often, and a lot of people might think that they are, a myth. A very common stereotype that I hear about being gay is the promiscuity or there isn't monogamy in the, quote, gay lifestyle. But I have two guests on here this evening who will be joining me, and Jerome Wilson and Cass Carr. And they've been together for 11 years. 11 years. And I just think that that's definitely something to look up to and to aspire for. So without further ado, I'm sure they're online now, and we'll get this discussion started. Please welcome Jerome Wilson and Cass Carr. Hello, guys. Are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Who is this? Is this Cass?
Yeah, this is Cass.
Okay. Jerome, do I have Jerome on the line also?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay. There you guys. Yeah, so I was just telling my audience that you guys have been together for 11 years and you're a black gay couple, and you've been married for 2 years. Now, a lot of, as far as tradition, as far as what's considered traditional here in America, we don't get to hear this side of the fence that often. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to the people and let them know how, even though this wouldn't be considered traditional, it is a very it is somewhat, it has many facets of a traditional relationship. Would you agree?
Wait a minute, could you repeat the question, Roderick? I'm sorry.
Okay. So I was saying, as far as relationships, normally we don't hear about black gay relationships in America.
Right.
You know, there are a lot of stereotypes in our community or in America in general that gays are usually promiscuous and we're non-monogamous. And so I was saying that, you know, even though your relationship would be considered non-traditional, I'm sure you would agree that it has a lot of traditional elements to it in regards to what Americans think about relationships in general.
Yeah, I can say because based on my opinion and based on my values and morals, and this is Cass speaking,
okay.
I still view it as traditional, meaning that you still follow those same requirements or those same the same fundamentals as far as a heterosexual relationship.
Okay. And so now you guys have been together for 11 years, right?
Yes.
How did you guys end up meeting, or where did you meet up?
Actually,
we'll let him give his version.
Actually, the funny thing was we had I think our paths had actually crossed, but we ended up actually meeting in a club environment. However, the intent was not to. Well, actually, it was running into an old friend, and actually Jerome was with that friend, and the friend actually asked me for my telephone number. And from there, Jerome asked me for my number as well. The funny thing is, the next day he called, and we've been together ever since.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you stepped in there and intercepted? Is that what I'm hearing, Jerome?
Basically.
So how did you know that he was the one, or did you know that he was the one?
There was just something about him that I found very intriguing and attractive, and I just wanted to get to know him better initially. And as time went on and we just started dating, sort of, we basically, for lack of a better word, eloped for about a month, and I was basically nowhere to be found, according to my friends.
Yeah, actually, you could say we kind of went underground. How about that? That's a better way of putting it. And I think during that month or that 2-month period, you know, we were basically getting to know one another, you know, without any interference from, you know, any of our friends or what have you.
So do you think that your relationship is atypical, meaning that it's not the norm in regards to being gay? You know, a lot of there's a generalization that gays are usually non-monogamous and very promiscuous.
I guess it would be atypical because we are monogamous. You know, we only, you know, we during that period of time we only dated each other, saw each other, and I mean, for the last 11, 12 years, you know, yeah, we've been together, and that's it. No outside influence, no me, going on a date or him going on a date, it's been strictly us. I mean, I feel that's the only way to have a relationship. I don't believe in, dating a couple people at a time or what have you. It was immediately when we first met, and when we met, we got together, what have you. Everything else was a wrap, basically.
Got you. So, when did you guys decide to get married?
2 years ago. Well, 2 years it'll be 2 years in August. And I went through a very trying time in my life, and Cass was just there. And I had already decided a long time ago that he was going to be the only one and the last one. So after that trying time, I just said, hey, I need to go ahead and put a ring on it. And funny enough,
when you guys have your
got married, so I had to show her my that I put a ring on it.
Hey, if one of you guys has your internet turned up, could you turn it down or mute it because it's causing feedback?
Internet?
Yeah, if you're listening to are you guys in the same room or you're listening to the broadcast?
Oh yeah, probably. It's probably because we're in the same room.
Okay, we're getting a little.
I'll turn my phone off.
Actually, we have two phones going, so probably if he turned his phone off, you probably get a better reception.
Okay, are you on speaker?
Yeah, I'm on speaker.
Okay, great. All right, there we go. I think that sounds a little bit better.
Okay, sorry for that.
No problem at all. All right, so are you saying, Jerome, that you popped the question, or who popped the question? Was it a mutual decision, or how did that work?
I popped the question. We got into New York. It was a surprise, actually, that I had been planning for a couple months to pop the question, and I told Cass we were just going up to New York to see Beyonce, and we got to the hotel room, and I got down on one knee and popped the question that morning, and then by 4:30 that afternoon, we were married, and then it was off to see Beyonce.
Oh, so you guys really did sort of elope. Now, did you plan to just be married in that same instance, or was that spontaneous?
That was it was a plan. Yeah, I planned all that. I had the paperwork and everything.
So what about your family and friends? Did you guys have a reception or anything like that?
We did. We got married in August and had the reception in October.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we had our family and friends come together, close family and friends come together, and that was a spectacular event also. Actually, a friend of ours let us use their mom's mansion to have the reception in.
Wow. So had you guys seen that video with the two guys? One of them was in a fraternity, and they got married, and I guess it made a real big hit on YouTube.
Sure did, and I'm actually friends with one of them, Nathaniel.
Oh, okay, so you know him.
Yeah.
Now, would you guys put? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say they're actually in one of our Facebook groups called For Couples Only, and it's a group of, I think we're up to 350 members now, of same-gender loving couples who have been in committed relationships for 6 months or more. And we're actually worldwide now. We've got folks in Russia, in Madrid, and all over. So, they're in that group as well.
So now, what was the purpose of this group, or who did you put this together yourself?
I did. It was February of 2012, and I was just a part of all these other groups that had really nothing to do with me. So I said, well, let me put something together for couples. We didn't know a lot of couples in the area, so I wanted to put a feeler out there and see what would happen. And lo and behold, it just blew up. and it just took off by itself.
So then, would you say that same gender loving couples are unique, or I mean, there's more of them out there than what the average person might be aware of?
I would definitely say there's a lot more out there than you would think.
Mm-hmm.
This is Cass. I think that forming the actual group, the Facebook group, it made it clear that there are a lot more out there, because I think one of the concerns that Jerome had, when he created the actual group, was based on our relationship. We have friends, and it appeared that we were the only couple amongst our friends. We have a lot of single friends, and so Jerome's concern was, well, let's see, because he wanted to do more things, with other couples. So that's when I think the idea came up to create the group and, just see what happens. And lo and behold, we never thought that it would get as large as it is. And we've met a number of other couples, with positive energy that are, inspiring. Every time we have an actual event, because periodically we do put together and we have events such as potlucks, outings and so forth. But it is just so inspiring and encouraging to see all these guys and ladies come together, and they're so positive. We always, the turnout is always, we get great support, and it's just a positive, very, very positive. It turns out to be, the events, the situations, they're just really inspiring and very encouraging, and which we've communicated that to some of our single friends, and, just to let people know that it is possible, and, don't give up.
Right. So what would you say to your single friends, or I mean, how me being one of your single friends, what advice would you have for me if I desire to be in a relationship? How can I go about that?
Well, my philosophy on that, and again, this is Cass speaking. My philosophy is stop being in search of, because I feel that when you search of, you'll never find. And so with that, it's not all about finding the right person. It's about being the right person. And I think when you kind of let down that guard to a degree, opportunity will present itself. I'm not saying that you should just settle, but, just be open to the possibilities. A lot of people have, standards and morals and values in which I'm not saying to let those things go. However, you can kind of lessen that reign, to put the possibility of something happening.
Okay, so did either of you guys have to lessen your reign for the possibility of you two to get together?
No, I don't feel that we did. He had to lessen our reins each. I don't feel that either one of us did. I think it was just something that, to me, it was just something that was meant to be. Just the way that we vibe, meaning that where he's weak, I'm strong, and vice versa. We just came together, and two, just knowing how to, grow with someone and learn how to communicate. Because two, when you have situations that arise, you have, you may have conflict, and it's almost to know that at this point in my life, I'm not here to fight anyone. I'm here to support, and meaning that you don't always have to agree. You can agree to disagree, because I think that, but at the same time, making sure that your point is made and heard so that you can go forward.
So are you talking about, in regards to if you guys have conflict with each other or in your relationship?
Correct.
Okay. So how do you guys go about resolving issues, or do you have any issues? I mean, it sounds like a fairy tale almost. You guys it was meant to be, love at first sight, had the butterflies and the whole nine. Do you guys have any trying time?
Yes, we definitely have been through our ups and downs, like any relationship, and the biggest thing is to communicate. We may not always agree, but we have learned to agree to disagree on certain issues.
I just want to take a minute to let my listeners know that you're listening to The Universal Mind with Roderick Watkins. Today's topic is relationships and spiritual development. Currently, I have on the line Jerome Wilson and Kaz Carr as we're discussing LGBT relationships and how they are similar to traditional relationships in this country, as well as the recent court case of DOMA, the Defense of the Marriage Act. Jerome and Cass have been together for 11 years, and they've been married for 2. And my next question is related to the Defense of Marriage Act and Prop 8 in California. How do you guys feel about those 2 pieces of legislation, and how do you think that the courts, or how would you like the courts to rule on it?
Well, definitely we are in support of the courts supporting gay marriage. But I think in actuality what they're going to do is send it back down to the states. I don't think they're going to make it a federal mandate. I think that it'd be nice, but I think that in reality they're going to send it back down to the states.
Cass, do you have any comment on that?
No, I totally agree as well. Because too, based on the structure, as far as the governmental structure or what have you, again, I think it will be to a state decision. And hopefully Georgia jumps on board,
Well, right now in Georgia, it's illegal. It is illegal. Marriage is defined as a man and woman in the Georgia Constitution, I think, state constitution.
That's correct.
Yeah. So how do you feel about civil rights being legislated on? I mean, should we be able to vote on people's rights? Or should they just automatically be guaranteed?
Well, they should. I mean, in a perfect world, they should be guaranteed. But obviously, we don't live in a perfect world. So some legislation will have to make that happen. How it happens is a different story and a different time tape. I'm not sure if I don't think, like I said, I don't think the country is ready to be federally mandated to recognize it. And I think
really?
No, I don't think so. Because, Georgia, it's not going to happen anytime soon. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon in Georgia. The southern states, we're on the Bible Belt. Until people realize that it's not a religious issue, it's going to be that way. Because you can get married you don't have to be in a church to get married. And I think it stems back all the way back to is gay being a choice. And if it's a choice, if they think it's a choice, then they're going to say, oh, well, they chose to be that way, so why do we have to worry about their rights? I agree with that.
So, okay, so you think that most people believe that sexual orientation is a choice and not that we're born this way?
Exactly. To which I always say, well, when did you choose to be heterosexual?
That's a good question. If sexual orientation is a choice, then it goes both ways, huh?
Right.
But let me ask you this: Isn't it somewhat a religious issue? In most ceremonies, they do use the Bible and Scripture in order to join people. So, doesn't that make it a religious ceremony? How do we take religion out of it, and do you even want to? I'm sure there are Christian gays.
No, I thought, I'm thinking, well, to my understanding, when you're taking vows, these are vows that you basically come up with, the individual couples, the two that are uniting. So to say that it's solely based on religion, I don't agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And Jerome, do you have anything to say to that, or you agree?
No, I agree. I agree totally with that.
I mean, because too, you think in terms of the actual ceremony itself. Especially in the South, traditionally, like you stated, it happens in the church, but you've seen situations where it happens in people's homes. In addition to, it's actually overseen by a minister. You don't need a minister. You can have a judge can marry you. So that's where the separation is, and I think that's where the religion needs to be taken out of it. Okay.
So it in regards to the actual ceremony, but why then do people? And let me ask you this: I mean, do you guys? What religion or denomination do you guys belong to?
I grew up Christian, but I'm finding myself leaning more towards spiritual, because the Christians nowadays, they like to take the Bible literally, and you can't take the Bible literally. And the way it's been translated over 1 million times or 1,000 times, and who knows what they were thinking when they wrote the Bible originally.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then, too, you think in terms of situations where a lot of people will take the Bible and use it to their, use it in their advantage by, quoting certain scriptures and so forth. So, again, I think a lot of times, the Bible is truly taken out of context.
So with that being said, how do you guys nurture your relation? I mean, do you guys nurture your relationship spiritually? And if so, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, we both believe in a God, and we believe in God, but we don't necessarily have to take the Bible and make that be our root, end all, be all. We take the Bible, we take the Quran, we take Buddhism, take all religions together, and make it into one spirituality, that there is a higher being than yourself.
Exactly. That's what I was going to actually say. The fact that some people will question and say, okay, God is man, woman, what have you. I don't know. It could be a nut, it could be a tree. I don't know. But I do feel, and I know that there is a higher power, and that's what I go on. And like Jerome said, I grew up in the Baptist religion, going to church. We went to church religiously, meaning that, it was Sunday. Then during the week you had Bible study. On Saturdays, or whether you had Friday night, there was a fish fry at the church. Saturdays, you had choir rehearsal. And then, again, you're back in church on Sunday. My thought process is, again, as for saying that I'm Baptist or saying that I'm Christian, I just know that I have faith. And that's what gets me. That's what stimulates me. That's what keeps me going, because, again, I feel that there is a higher power.
And how do you guys go about nurturing each other spiritually?
We just, when there's an issue, as far as, are you talking about when like if something goes wrong and like Cass needs something and?
Well, I'm just talking. Okay, so for me, spirituality is growth in awareness and growth in my state of being. Meaning, it can be spiritual. It can be physical, mental. All these things that help me become better and able to express my awareness of the world and the universe around me.
Well, I would say the same thing. That actually applies here in our relationship, because, again, let's say when situations happen or what have you, we're there for one another, mentally, physically, to support, to uplift, to encourage. So, those are the fundamentals I feel that we've based our relationship on. We're not here to tear each other down or ridicule one another or belittle. We're here basically to, and I think it takes a level of maturity and time, depending upon the relationship. But I know we've grown tremendously. We love each other. We support one another. We encourage. We try to inspire. So those are the premise of our relationship. I'm speaking.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's where the nurturing comes in.
Mhm. Mhm. So do you attend a church or?
Say that again.
Do you guys attend church?
Not one particular church. We visit churches.
Okay. Let me again just let our guests know that our listeners know that they're listening to The Universal Mind with Roderick Watkins. Tonight my guests are Jerome Wilson and Cass Carr, and we're talking about gay marriage and LGBT relationships. You can call in at 347-826-7520 if you have any questions. We're also on Facebook at Loudmouth Radio Network. I'm sorry, at loudmouth.com. And we're also on Twitter at Loudmouth, LOUDDMOUTH. So, guys, when you got married, I mean, did you take each other's last names? How does that work? Do you call each other partners, husbands? Some of the basic stuff that a lot of people might not be aware of.
Well, I mean, I refer to Jerome as my husband, my partner. I think it just depends on the actual environment. Certain times, when the question is posed. But yeah, for the most part, he's my husband. As far as the exchange of last names, no, we kept our last names. To me, that wasn't really significant or important. The funny thing is, once we got married, I guess realizing what that actually meant, because like I said, we've been together since September 2002, meaning that we never separated, we never parted. Okay, we bought our house in 2003. Yeah, we bought a house together in 2003. So, like Jerome said it early on, we saw each other as being a married couple, in a traditional sense, because we do everything together for the most part. If there's something that he wants to do or vice versa, we discuss it with each other. Not to say that we need that approval, but that's what you do. That's the right thing to do. And I think, again, I'm not saying that things have been peachy keen. No, I'm not saying that. We have our ups and downs. We've had our ups and downs. But I think as we've gotten older, we're more so stable. We're more so, we're together. I don't know a better way to put it.
So when you say, go ahead, Jay, did you have something?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yeah, are you still there?
Yeah. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I guess we were having a little technical difficulty there for a second. No, I just was asking, did you have anything to add to that?
Oh, no. He summed it up pretty succinctly.
So, at the beginning, you hear all this about rushing into things. How do you know if well, in your case, you guys were right, but I mean, is love at first sight that common? I mean, I don't think it happens that often, right? Or do you just go with reckless abandon and hope for the best?
No, and it was not love at first sight for us.
Okay.
We fell in love during our courting process, I like to say. It was more of intrigue at first sight with me.
Well, I think it was, I think it was infatuation early on, but it was to the degree of, again, not wanting to necessarily separate. And as fate would have it, things kind of just fell in place, meaning that, we didn't have to separate. He wanted to be with me, I wanted to be with him. There have been times when I think we possibly wanted to do other things, meaning not necessarily see anybody else or what have you, but early on it was just a process. I do feel that in a sense we are an exception because based on even some previous, like for example, this is my longest relationship. Now I had actually been in a previous relationship in which that relationship lasted about 7 years, six or 7 years. And based on my morals, my values from a traditional perspective, that's just what I believed in. I didn't believe in dating, a number of people at one time. I just couldn't deal with that.
How do your families interact with each other, or do they?
Oh, they love each other. They interact very well, especially when it's when we had our reception. It was very nice to see our families come together, and they do things with each other. They support each other. His family supported my mom in her campaign, and my family supported Cass's family in whatever endeavors they may try to have. And so it's very like you said, kind of fairy tale. Now I'm looking at it or thinking about it. It is very interesting how they get along so well. And my brothers and sisters absolutely love him, so there was no issue there. And of course, my mom loves him. So
and vice versa. I think in terms of early on, just the let's say around like for example around the holidays, as far as both families coming together, we meshed pretty well. There was no conflicts or what have you. But again, it was a process, meaning that again, taking the time to get to know someone, and of course, just like with my mother and his mom. If there's somebody that I love and I care, in which they can see it. So, of course, they had no choice but to, true enough, they could have said no, or they could have been, they could have not been as supportive, but they are, and they are. So, again, it sounds very fairy tale, and, I'm just happy to be living it.
Wow, that sounds great. So what about as far as your own family? Have you guys thought about extending your family?
We have thought about it, and that's why we have 2 furry kids. We have 2 dogs that are like our kids. But I think we've had a discussion about kids, and we've decided that we are not going to have our own kids. Number one, I'm too selfish right now, and there's still a lot of traveling and stuff I want to do,
and I'm too old. I think that there's a selfishness on both parts, and honestly, I'm happy with it. My thought process was that if I was to have had kids, it would have been before now. But I have a lot of love to give to my nieces. I have a total 3 nieces, and I just feel that right now, we're where we need to be. And then too, that selfishness does play a major role, as Jerome said, of course. The travel aspect, because we are able to do a lot, and it's something because even now when we travel, we still have to think about the dogs. And I'm not going to say that it doesn't bother me when I go away, because I do, and I miss my dogs tremendously. So, The thought of having a child, no. Unfortunately, we don't foresee that.
Okay. But I think you guys would make great fathers. So hopefully you don't rule that out, totally. Maybe it'll change. Maybe it'll change, right?
Maybe. I mean, it's possible. Anything is possible. And what we call Roderick to babysit when we go out of town.
Oh, for the dogs, definitely. I have 2 dogs myself, so I'm always I'll open the Rod's boarding for pets, for wayward pets. So guys, now I know that what do you do to keep the romance going, or to keep the spark going in your relationship?
Probably, I don't know if we can say on air.
You can say anything you want on air. Tony agrees with it.
No, I don't think that there's. I mean, we don't have. I think it just comes automatically. And I don't ever go a day or a minute. Sometimes just letting him know how I feel about him and letting him know that the feeling hasn't changed and I don't foresee it changing. Meaning that I love him, but I'm still in love with him. So, with that, we may send each other messages throughout the day. I know at one point in time, especially some nights when I couldn't sleep, I would actually, send him a text or, just let him know how much I care about him and, how much he means to me. Because, again, going through some of the things, the ups and downs in life that I've gone through, my one goal was really to be able to live my life and to be happy and to find someone to share my life with. And I can proudly say that I've done that. I feel fulfilled, with him being in my life, meaning that, too, when I see him, sometimes, and I know it kind of, I don't know if he knows this, but as opposed to me smiling sometimes when I see him, because that's what he makes me, that's what he makes happen. I'll frown at him or, lick my tongue at him or something like that. And it's like the look on his face when he sees me, it's like a twinkle that he has in his eyes, And I don't know what that means, but and I don't know if that's actually true, but that's how I feel.
And Rod, I will add that traveling helps keeps it fresh and new as well.
Well, even if we couldn't travel, I feel that we enjoy each other's company. The fact that knowing that he has his likes and his hobbies, and I have mine, and we support each other, meaning that we don't have to be out in the streets or going here, going there. We're complacent with being at home. He's doing what he wants to do. I'm doing what I want to do. There's no conflict, and then we come together,
So if Georgia was to finally allow gay marriage, would you guys think about getting married out here?
Oh, well, definitely.
Yeah. Sure. In fact, when I saw that Rio de Janeiro had just legalized it, I told Cass to pack it up. We're moving to Rio de Janeiro and getting remarried.
Right. But isn't that more of a single spot, Rio de Janeiro?
Well, it might become a couple spot now.
Hey, yeah, especially you guys got the group going, get everybody to move down there.
Right.
Y'all can start a little community, but I wouldn't drink the Kool-Aid.
Exactly.
So then renewing your vows it would be a most definite if they were to allow that out here in
Absolutely.
Georgia.
Absolutely.
Well, have you guys experienced? I think one of the things that when we think about gay marriage, or they talk about a lot of the benefits that are afforded to heterosexual couples that aren't allowed for gay couples, and one of them is hospital visitation. Others have to do with tax law and the state law. Have you guys experienced any discrimination as a gay couple?
Funny, we have not actually. The only problem we have ever had was at one point I had no insurance, and I was trying to get on Kaz's insurance, and they didn't recognize same-sex couples, but now they do. They do, so now I am on his insurance because the insurance that I would have otherwise would cost too much, so it was more economical to be on his insurance.
And, I'm happy to be working for an employer that recognizes it, that realizes that, I think one thing that, they ask that we do is, they believe in home life, enjoying home and taking care of home. And, again, recognizing, too, as reality has it, there are same-sex couples, and allowing them to benefit as a heterosexual, couple. So, I'm just happy, and I don't know if I can say their name on the radio, but yeah, I'm just proud to be, employed and doing something that I enjoy doing for a company that appreciates me for who I am.
That's one thing a lot of people don't realize is even though Georgia does not recognize it, a lot of companies do.
Exactly.
My company does, as well as Kaz's, and a lot of companies in the Atlanta area do. So just because Georgia doesn't recognize it does not mean you cannot get certain benefits from being married.
Exactly.
I even think that the city of Atlanta has passed an ordinance to protect gays from employment discrimination as well. So some companies might be, it would be beneficial for them to comply with that. So do you, besides Rio, would you move to a less tolerant place?
No.
No.
For what? Why would you? Why would we?
Well, some people could be family, who knows, a job, maybe your job wants to transfer you there.
Well, I think that before I even took another job, or I would that would have to be something that I would have to think seriously about, because again, I don't want to be in an environment that's less tolerant. Nor would I want to subject him to that.
So but we do live in the South, and you guys both stated earlier that how this is the Bible Belt. So how have you? Is the South maybe a little bit more tolerant than you initially stated? Because you guys are both out, right?
Not exactly. Well, that's to define out.
Okay. I'll let you define it. How out are you?
Well, if somebody asks me, I tell them, but I don't advertise. I don't advertise it.
It's not something. I mean, our life or our private life is not something that should be and that we put on display. Now, in my office, everybody knows my sexuality, and they know that I'm married, and they are. From what I can see, what I see on a day-to-day basis, they accept it. Now what they say, when I'm not around, I don't know. But for the most part, yeah, my office peers are aware of my marriage to Jerome.
And you, Jerome, is your job aware?
No, they are not aware. Well, my my immediate office workers are not aware. In fact, they assume that I am straight. And if they were to ever ask me, I would tell them I'm not. But they've never asked me, and I prefer not to divulge or advertise that information without them asking for it. So they can think what they want. And I work in a pretty masculine environment, so I don't know how they would take it. So I just prefer not to even, offer it up. I don't think they would care, but it's none of their business. Hello?
We want to thank everyone for listening to Loudmouth Radio. And tonight we have Universal Mind with Roderick Watkins going on. And tonight we have our special guests, Jay and Cass, are speaking with us on air. And we want to go ahead and continue with our actual episode with Roderick Watkins.
Okay, guys. So, Jerome, I think where we left off was, are you out at your job, or do you care to discuss that?
You said, was I out at work?
Yes.
No. Okay, you missed that whole part. Okay. No, I'm not out at work, and mainly because I work in a pretty masculine environment, and the people I work close with, I really don't. They assume that I'm straight, but if they were to ask me, I would tell them, but they've never asked, and I don't feel it necessary to offer their information to them.
Mm-hmm.
It just I don't think they would care, but I just prefer not to even have it even become a conversation. I like to keep work at work. I like to keep work at work. I don't socialize with them outside of work, so what's the point?
But now you did say that your job is gay friendly, though, right? They do have benefits for same-sex couples.
Yes.
But do you feel that they would enforce that if you were to come out at work? I mean, in regards to just, or are you worried about some type of harassment per se, or anything like that if they were to find out?
Not at all. Not at all.
So,
I mean, it's just the fact of, if they were, like I said, if they would ask me, I would tell them. No problem with that. Mm-hmm. I'm just not going to offer it.
Right.
I just would prefer to keep that. If it comes up, it comes up.
Yeah, and I've heard that, and I've experienced that myself. I haven't been out at all my jobs as well, and in some situations it just doesn't come up. I think it's a personal preference, and you're right. When we're at work, our focus is supposed to be at on the job. But I mean, so no pictures of you and Kaz on your desk?
Actually, there are. I have my whole family up there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, we took a family portrait in 2011 that I have up there.
Okay. So then it's more that they just have not inquired, not that you're going through any great lengths of not sharing.
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha. So that's great, guys. So any as far as your group is concerned, what type of activities do you guys do in the group?
We have various, what we call cocktails and conversations, where we all come together and talk about various topics going on in the world or even locally that could, and how it relates to gay lifestyle, and specifically couples. For example, we have a mixer coming up the beginning of May, and we've got some discussion topics that vary from DOMA to how to handle infidelity in relationships to business topics and
cash flow and so forth, managing money.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then we also have a cruise coming up in February 2014, where we're going to Cozumel and Grand Cayman, Key West, something like that. And we're looking forward to that. So every month we try to do things as a group. And then throughout the month there are small things that happen that we try to do, like movies and bowling and the parks, picnics and whatnot. So it's something for everybody to do.
Yeah, let me piggyback off that. And one thing that we are encouraging within the group, because, again, in the Atlanta area, there's to our surprise, there are a number of other couples. And one thing that we kind of encourage and inspire people to do is, get to meet the other couples. Get to know them, because you never know what you have in common with, some of the other couples. So that's one of the things that, we encourage as far as ongoing events.
What about your single friends, like myself?
We're still working. We're still working with a group of. There's another Facebook group that are. I don't want to say the name. They are a group of people who are seriously seeking to be in a relationship. And the couples group and the singles group are going to try and come together and do some kind of mixer to where, the couples can bring their single friends and the single friends get together and just get and meet each other and, kind of vibe on each other and get some networking going. Maybe some speed dating or something. I'm just kidding.
That actually sounds interesting and kind of fun. You guys have to keep me posted on that for sure.
Definitely. But the singles group has to have their first function here in Atlanta first, and we're waiting for that to happen, which I actually saw something today, and I think they're planning on doing something pretty soon this summer. So we are looking forward to that.
That's great, guys. Well, I really appreciate you guys for coming on the show tonight and talking about your relationship with me and the audience. It has definitely been a pleasure, and you guys are definitely a model of what I think we should strive for those of us who are looking. I mean, not everybody is looking, but you guys have definitely been a model to me in regards to what to look for in a relationship, or actually how a relationship works. So I really appreciate you two, and I'm glad I've had the opportunity to get to know you both since we met.
Well, we'd like to say thank you, and for you providing this platform for us to speak on, to share, because, like I stated earlier, when it comes to a relationship, I don't think it's it's, again, being in search of and finding the right person. It's all about you being the right person. Get yourself together in order to be able to share with someone else.
Now, come on, Kaz. Now, there are those people, and I'm not downing people in relationships in general, but there are those people that aren't necessarily the best of people and still have people that still are in relationships. Correct?
Most definitely, and I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. Again, it's just still about you being that person. You being the right person, meaning that. I'm not going to say that I went out looking for someone that was like me. Like I said, Jerome is, he's all that I could ever wish for, and, how you look back at your life and you say, if you could have done anything different, would you have? Yeah, but at the same time, if I changed anything, I don't think that I'd be where I am now.
Right.
So with that, I think things do happen for a reason, and I'm not telling people to just accept whatever. No, I'm not saying that. but at the same time, you still have to be open, you know, and it does take time. I don't think it's going to happen overnight first, you know, like the way that we met. I'm not saying that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think the possibilities are there, you know, just make the right decisions. And again, be open and be able to effectively communicate with one another, because I think that truly that's one of the main contributors to having a successful relationship. Because, I mean, early on, I think we had some conflicts with communications. However, you know, we got past it, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think that was because of the love that we had for one another.
So communication and a desire to really want to be with each other, right?
Exactly, definitely, most definitely. I mean, because you can have the communication, but if you don't have that desire, then, yeah, of course, it's going to go south.
Yeah. Well, again, guys, thank you. And right now we're going our next guest for the evening, and you're welcome to stay on the line if you guys want to, or you can and participate, or, you know, at least please continue to listen.
All right. I'm gonna put you on mute.
Okay. All right. So our next guest is Dr. Madhi M. Brown, and he is the founder of Imagine Enterprises, Inc. Imagine is dedicated to the empowerment of people physically, mentally, and emotionally. Dr. Madhi earned his medical degree in naturopathic medicine from the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine. He has dedicated the past 15 years to the empowerment of others. He specializes in educating and empowering people. He emphasizes taking ownership over one's physical, emotional, and mental well-being. He is an assistant professor at the Arizona State University, where he teaches stress management tools in the areas of health, relationship, and finances. He inspires his students on a daily basis. He has personally taught his conscious living principles and holistic nutrition to over 1,000 people in the past 2 years. Dr. Madhi is a leader in the field of holistic nutrition, giving hundreds of lectures and speaking engagements over the past 8 years. He is also a certified life coach with over 10 years of coaching experience. Dr. Madhi is very passionate about public speaking, educating, lecturing, private consulting, and developing educational tools. Dr. Madhi believes that each individual is a unique expression of life. Therefore, he dedicates his effort to helping individuals express their uniqueness. And that's going to be the second half of our show of tonight on the Universal Mind with Roderick Watkins. Remember, you can reach out to us on Facebook at Loudmouth Online, or you can reach out to us at Twitter at Loudmouth, and that's Loud, L-O-U-D-D, Mouth, M-O-U-T-H, on Twitter. Please feel free to call in, and you can call us at our number 347-826-7520. And so now our next guest we'll continue this discussion on relationships and spiritual development. And one of the things we'll be talking about is, as stated earlier, is communication and how we communicate with each other, and how our relationships are actually just reflections of our own spiritual development and growth. As I was saying earlier at the beginning of the show, people are generally no man is an island unto himself, and people use other people, our relationships. They help us see aspects of ourselves that may need to be nurtured or grow into. So with that, with no further ado, I want to invite Dr. Madhi, everybody to listen to Dr. Madhi as we continue this discussion. Dr. Madhi, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Universal Mind.
You're very, very welcome. It's an honor to be on the program.
So I was reading one of your speeches or one of your lectures, and it was called Nutrition of the Heart.
Yes.
And I thought that was I like the double entendre there. So you're not just talking about actual food nutrition either, huh?
Oh, absolutely not. It was really interesting. One of the things that most people think of when they think of nutrition, they think about the physical food that we put into our body. And one of the things that myself and, one of my very good friends and colleagues, Dr. Hanale Ile, what we would share in our holistic nutrition classes and even in the stress management courses that he and I both taught is that we nourish ourselves both physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I know you've heard the old adages, feed your mind good thoughts. And, to really nourish yourself with love and compassion. These things are very, very important to us as human beings. And so when we are looking at nourishing ourselves, one of the key areas where you can receive the most nourishment is in the relationships that you've created in your life.
Right.
And the most important relationship that can nourish you the most is your relationship with yourself. And so this is some of the key principles, that we really begin to look at, when it comes to nutrition for the body, because if you're in a relationship that is toxic, it will impact your health. It will impact, your everyday physiological and biochemical well-being, if you will. And so many people are dealing with, extraordinary circumstances in relationships on a day in and day out basis. And what I always look to do with working with clients, students, whoever, I'm helping and being of service to is first and foremost, we have to look at how you're nourishing yourself, what kind of nutrition you're providing to yourself, both mentally, physically, and emotionally.
So now let me ask you, because, there are several different relationships, right? There's romantic relationships, there's friendships. Are all these nourishing us, or do we get special nourishment from a particular type of relationship?
Well, all your relationships are nourishing to you. For the mere fact, you can look at an example of someone who is in a family environment where the relationships are at odds with one another. They're in conflict. There's issues in the house. You're fighting and battling in your own household. That has a profound impact on you physically. And,
right.
Of course, the most intimate relationship you could ever have outside of yourself is with that romantic partner. And that's where you are most vulnerable, and that's where you have the opportunity for the greatest growth and transformation. But all your relationships are important. Say again?
In what way? You said we have the greatest growth and transformation in what way or how's that?
Well, let's just take a look at what a intimate relationship means.
Okay.
So it's a very fascinating, I always find this, it's just a very fascinating phenomenon to me, that as individuals, we could look at someone outside of our family environment, out of the dynamics of our family, and look to someone out of the 7+ billion people on this planet. You choose and you say, this person here, I'm now going to share the most intimate aspects of who I am with, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I'm going to open myself up to you and allow you to see the essence of who I am. And that person is choosing to do the same. I just find that it's quite profound, a very just amazing, almost, miraculous in some sense of the word, of an event. Because This is somebody who you truly do not know. And then you become acquainted with them. There's some familiarity, and you become this connection, this sense of just knowingness, and you allow this individual to now enter into the most sacred, intimate aspects of who you are. And they got the goods on you. They know the worst of you. They experience your ups, your downs, and they experience you in a physically intimate way through the exchange of sexual energy. You're sharing the essence of who you are with this person. And it's a very fascinating, just phenomenal thing to me, and it always has been, that we as human beings can come together. And that's much of life does this. for the most part, finding that partner, if you will, to basically bring about sustainability and growth for that individual. And as human beings, we really look to this relationship as the cornerstone of our lives. We are preparing for this throughout our life. As we're growing up through our youth and adolescence, this is what we begin to emerge into as we become older, and we're looking to find that person who we can relate to, who really can reflect the essence of who we are back to us. And so it's in that type of relationship. Go ahead.
So is there somebody for everybody?
Honestly, I would say yes and no to that question. And let me expound on that. Yes, in the fact that we all come into life, and we are just within our human nature, in our human conditioning, we look to belong. And I discussed this in a sense to where we, as human beings, we have this sense and this desire to belong, to be able to love and to experience love for one another. So in that respect, absolutely yes. As you said earlier, no man is an island unto himself. No human being is an island unto him or herself. We're here to connect, to bond, to share, to cohabitate this planet, in unity with one another. And I say no to that in the fact that you have individuals who come into life who have such a fulfilled life within themselves, and they do not require that intimate partnership in this journey. And they're here to share, and they still connect with other human beings, but to share that intimate partnership and that union with another human being that they walk through life together is not a requirement for them.
Oh, that's interesting. So they're already fulfilled with themselves, so they don't need another person. So are you implying that people that are in relationships are fulfilled in some ways? Or
are there? Repeat the question, please. I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
So it's interesting. You said there are those that don't require to be in a relationship because they're already self-fulfilled?
Yes, and so the thing, ideally, I'll say this to you first. Ideally, in any relationship, the gentleman who was speaking before, he said it so well when he was speaking about first and foremost working on yourself and and seeking that relationship with yourself before you go out there looking for someone else. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And ideally, in any relationship, you hear people say, "Oh, this person completed me," or "This person makes me whole." And I think that's a really unfortunate statement to make on anyone's behalf, for the mere fact, if you're coming into a relationship only half of yourself, and another person's coming into a relationship with truly only half of themselves, you're going to basically, in essence, just have two half beings. And you're going to be looking in that partner to fill whatever void or what you feel is lacking inside of you, and that will show up in the relationship. Ideally, when two people come to a relationship, ideally they should come to that relationship as whole beings, where they're both fulfilled in who they are as individuals, and they're now looking to share that fulfillment with another person. And now in relationship to that one individual who doesn't choose to do that, again, he or she has found fulfillment in themselves, and they choose not, or they don't require, to share, and they choose not to share, and they go through their life as singles. But of course, they have wonderful people in their lives who they're able to still share that fulfillment with, but just not in that intimate partnership setting that we're speaking of. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Okay. So there is a choice, meaning you can be a whole realized person and just choose to be single.
Absolutely, yes.
But how do you work on becoming this fulfilled or becoming this whole person? Is there any criteria that we have to meet, or how do you think about that? Are there any particular?
Absolutely. Well, the key thing to it, first and foremost, one of the key things. Funny that you asked that question. I'm just now leaving and getting off of ASU's campus from teaching my stress management course, and one of the things we're talking about in there this week, last week of school, is your purpose and vision. And one of the key things that I've been sharing with them in class today is that as we come into life, we're not given a manuscript, that's attached to our hip and saying this is what it means to be a human being. This is how this is what you need to do in order to be successful. We come into life and we are taking in basically what we receive from our parents, what we receive from our siblings if we have any, what we receive from other family members, what we gain from our peers in society as far as our friends, what we gain from the education, and we take all that stuff in, and we're trying to figure out and put together, who we're going to be in this life. And so there's 3 key areas that really drive us as human beings. And those key areas are our health, our relationships, and our finances.
Okay.
And so we go through life looking on how to have the optimized health and vitality and energy and, sustainability in our health so that we can live out our dreams and our passions to the fullest. We seek to have an exchange in our relationships from a place of love, be able to share the fullness of what we've experienced in our life with others around us. And we look to have the financial means to carry out any endeavor, any dreams that we have. Now, when it comes to creating a wholeness within yourself, you have 7 inherent needs that I personally feel are required for one to truly be fulfilled in life. And what I share with my students today, we're looking at purpose. And what I've shared with them over the course of this past semester is that if these needs go unmet, you will go throughout your life carrying out basic actions and carrying out basic choices to get those needs met. And these 7 needs, when they're fully met and you're actually meeting these needs within yourself, then you're now in a place of fully becoming this whole individual. And most people, when they go through their life, they're really seeking to get these needs met. And in most situations, there's always like 1 or 2 that we really come into life with that we felt as a child we didn't get perhaps from our parents or our environment. And so that becomes like, in essence, our primary need, and we start just really living our lives from there. And so if you want, I'll go through those really quickly, kind of give you an example of what I'm talking about to help you frame this understanding of what it means to be whole.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I have the actual list that you sent me, and it says 7 human needs of fulfillment are change, belonging, mattering, means having meaning, loved and be loved, express, to be heard, growth, and share. I thought those were very interesting. So you say that we, in our youth, some of these were not fulfilled, and so we go through life seeking fulfillment in these particular areas of our life?
Absolutely, and a lot of times they show up in our relationships. We're seeking, these particular aspects of ourselves that we're trying to fill, that we feel that void is there, and we seek out to try to fill that through our relationships with others. And so, for example, when someone is looking at change, the need for change, and what that really means is, as human beings, we all here, we have an inherent desire within us to be able to create, explore the variety and possibilities of life. And one of the constants in life, and that a lot of folks don't realize, for whatever reasons, which I find very fascinating as well, is that everything and all things do change. And you need that variety in your life to really keep you stimulated, to keep you invested, to keep you focused on the events of life. And so we're always seeking that change and that variety, changing within ourselves, change within our environment. If we were to look at ourselves as what we have on today, what you're wearing tonight, as we're talking, and basically if you were only told that you can only wear what you have on for the rest of your life, and you can't change your hair, you can't change your clothes, you can't change your undergarments, nothing, and you have to wear this same thing every single day for the rest of your life, it would drive you mad.
Yeah, I think change is a big one. I mean,
change is huge.
In our society, you have people, they don't want to get any older. They, or they don't want to move. They always want to stay in the same place. It's so many ways that we try to stay or keep things safe. And so this can become toxic. You're saying?
Oh, absolutely. I'm like, because what happens normally in relationships? People get bored.
Right.
They get bored with the relationship. They get bored with the person because there's the stimulation's not there, the motivation's not there, the variety's not there. And what happens, when the passion is gone, truthfully, when you find a relationship where the passion is lost, we look at those kind of situations and really say the passion is truly not there. They just really have lost the ability to explore the possibilities.
Right.
Or they're choosing no longer to explore their possibilities with this individual. And so now they're looking to seek change elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when that happens, you're now going to be looking to someone else, because if like, say, for example, change was your number one need, you just needed that variety, you needed to explore possibilities, you needed to have the ability to create new conditions for yourself, and that's like your number one thing you're going after all the time, you will run through many partners. Because no one will be good enough. You will never find fulfillment in that person because you're constantly, that's the driving pivotal value for you, the pivotal need that you're required to get fulfilled. So you will go through multiple folks.
Okay, you got to slow down on that one for you. I think you just hit a nerve or something. So let's go back. So you're saying if change is your primary need,
it's like number one for you, yes.
Yeah, that if that need isn't met, then you're most likely you won't settle down. That you'll go through multiple partners.
Yeah, you'll be looking outside yourself to get that need met, and your partner will try to provide that for you. But eventually, you're going to get bored with him or her, and you're like, okay, I need to look at something else.
So then okay, I'm listening.
And so the question then is back to ask, okay, what is it in your life that you are now needing to look outside yourself to bring about that passion, that possibility, and be able to create for yourself? Because as human beings, we have the ability to create in any environment, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the resources we have available to us. You can create anything. Mm-hmm. You have the ability within the mind, and the actual title of this show is The Universal Mind. You have a universal mind that has the ability to create any and all things. And so if you're in a relationship and you find yourself getting bored, I'm going to ask you, how bored are you in your own personal life? And most times these folks are going to be bored in their own lives as well. And all this person is reflecting back to them in that relationship is their own inability to create, to live out a passionate life, to have that fulfillment through change and through creating new possibilities and variety for themselves. And so now it's being reflected in their relationship. And it has nothing to really do with the partner, but that person.
I did not expect to go through therapy today, Dr. Madhi. That is good. I really like that a lot. And I don't want to generalize, but we're saying that we're saying those that do find themselves bored with other people. Let me see if I can mistake this. Those who do find themselves bored with other people need to reflect back and see if they find themselves bored with themselves in their own life.
Within your own life, absolutely, yes.
And that in order to change that, how do you go about changing that? I mean, if you find yourself boring, how do you go about finding that passion or that enthusiasm? Or I mean, I think that's definitely an aha moment in regards to waking up and realizing that you're bored with yourself. So how do you get unbored with yourself?
Okay, so we all know how to do this. You have to look back to how you were as a child. As a child, how did you look at life?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How
as a child, I was always outside exploring.
Exactly. You were exploring. You were excited. You were enthusiastic. You were motivated. You had passion. You were just thrilled with the idea of being alive and exploring this amazing place that you called your world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you sought to discover who you were through the experiences of your life, and everything was new to you.
Yeah. So you have to. You have to come to your life in that regard, understanding that every new day is the first day of the rest of your life. Mm-hmm.
And how you choose to enter into that day determines what that day will be for you. And so if you're looking to experience something new, if you're looking to examine, new possibilities, the day is full of them for you. And I was telling one of my mentors in medical school, we were discussing the human body. And, and she was talking with us, and she, was saying that the human body is so amazing. Our bodies are so amazing. She said, there's no reason why you should ever find yourself bored. You could just sit in a room and study your hand for a day and be amazed and in wonder.
Right.
But we are so focused on the distractions of life, and we're so easily taken out of focus and so easily distracted that we are not present. And when you're present, you're able to see the wonders and the magic and majesty, if you will, of a life and the possibilities that are there for you. And so you're not going to be bored.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's funny, some of my friends when I was in college, they used to always joke because I've had this mindset for some time, and I would tell them, you could sit and stare at a tree and find out the secrets of the universe, because
Absolutely.
The same knowledge that is telling that tree how high to grow or which way to grow, that same knowledge is within you, and it's communicating to your body and telling your body these things. And if you're silent enough, you allow, if you get out of the way of it, it can actually lead you and lead your life. Your life, and you'll be in harmony with universal law.
Absolutely.
But we like you say, we're so focused on what ifs and not focused on the present or what could be, that we miss the beauty of what is in the now and what we already have.
And us, Roderick, you hit it right on the head. And the key thing is, as a child, you're always looking at what can be. You're always looking at the possibility.
Right.
You're just a fountain running over with possibilities and imagination.
Okay.
And when we find an individual who has become bored with his or her life, I said you found an individual who is now lacking or no longer exercising their imagination.
Right. Wow, that's brilliant. I just want to remind our listeners that they're listening to The Universal Mind with Roderick Watkins, and my guest today is Dr. Madhi, and we're talking about relationships and spiritual growth. Please join us. You can call in if you have any questions. We're on Facebook at Loudmouth Online, or you can tweet us at Loudmouth. That's L-O-U-D-D, mouth. Or you can call us, and that number to call in to is 347-826-752. So you were saying that, and that was just the first need. We have 6 more needs.
Correct.
Right. So you want to briefly go through those real quick, or
yeah, sure, absolutely, yeah, definitely. So we discussed change, and next, and they're not in any particular hierarchical order. These are arranged how you set them in your life based on what you experience in your life and what you feel is lacking in your life that shows up a lot of times in a very unhealthy way as that top primary need, and you start making your choices off of that need first and foremost, and everything else kind of falls in order after that. So the next one I'm going to discuss with you is a sense of belonging. And, we're required as human beings, in order to truly have a sense of fulfillment, we have to belong. We have to be able to connect, be a part of something that's greater than ourselves, and feel that we are associated with this connection, with this other or others, that makes us have a sense of purpose, and it gives us a sense of safety, security, and you're able to now move through life in a much more fulfilling, confident way. And so if you're going through life and you're experiencing a life where you feel you don't belong, you're like, the black sheep of the family, if you will, or, you're the one who never fit in, the weird kid who never fit into high school or, other friends growing up. That has a profound impact on you, and you go through life acting out and speaking out in ways that you can belong. And Roderick, I've had the opportunity and privilege to work with, wonderful people who've had the courage to go through recovery and deal with addictions that they've suffered with and they've faced throughout their life. And one of the key areas that has always been an issue that really drove them to whatever drug of choice was they felt they didn't belong anymore. And that was like number 2 on the list. And number 1 on the list was that they did not matter and they didn't have any meaning. That was number 1. And the folks who really felt that they didn't matter anymore, didn't have any meaning, and they also didn't belong anywhere, these are the folks who were more likely to look at the options of suicide as an option. And, I just, have been working with some clients who were in that state, who were dealing with that, and, going through that whole issue of not feeling that they matter. Right. Feeling that they don't have any meaning. And so the choices they're making in their life are choices that are not serving, choices that are very harmful to whom they are and also harmful to others because they don't matter. And these people who are really feeling that they don't matter and they're trying to matter, when it shows up in relationships, they're always trying to be significant. They're trying to really stand out and be important. And so in that kind of dynamic, if they have where they don't matter and they're trying to matter and they want to have some meaning, they want to be significant, and that's their top primary need of fulfillment, their purpose and their focus is on one person. And guess who that person is?
Themselves.
And so how can they be successful in relationships if the focus is on them all the time?
Right.
And this is one of the things that I bring up in my classes when we discuss relationships. If you're someone who has always been trying to prove to your parents that you matter, prove to your parents that you have meaning, prove to others that you're significant, and you go through your life pursuing all these major goals, you go through your life trying to be that straight A student, for that sense, to get that need met so you can be standing out in the public eye and getting the praise so you feel a sense that, yeah, you truly matter, that you do have meaning in this world. When it shows up in your relationship, your focus is primarily on you, your partner, or your loved ones, be it in your family or this intimate relationship, will start to suffer because it's going to be about you all the time.
Right. They can't get any nourishment.
They can't get any nourishment from you.
Nourishment that they need. Yeah.
Yeah, because you are constantly like, I gotta be about me. And a lot of times for many folks it's unconscious to them because it's something that was instilled in them at a very young age, and they now have a story and belief system around that. And so they carry out the experiences of their life from that place.
Right.
And now it's now being reflected in their relationships.
So
what?
Is being too ambitious then? Could that be a sign of, because it almost sounds, like if you're, I get it in meaning that you're always trying to prove or always trying to go after or always trying to prove that you are significant. you're neglecting the fact of looking at other people around you or people that are important to you because you're always focused on having the spotlight. Is that?
Yeah, well, I'll say this to that.
Okay.
A person who has this as their primary focus, a pivotal value and need, will, definitely pursue things, pursue careers and things of that nature, and, and will come off and will be perceived as someone who's ambitious, okay? The undercurrent to that that's not really recognized is that they don't feel that about themselves, and so these are the actions that they carry out to that, and it's at the neglect and, detriment of those around them. And these are folks who are really not, too concerned with the well-being or the interests of other people.
Gotcha.
Someone who has this need met within themselves already feel a sense of mattering to others, having meaning in the world, and more importantly, they matter to themselves, and they determine their meaning in their life, will share in their successes, will not feel threatened with someone else taking, the limelight, not feel threatened with others achieving as well, because it's inherent within us and within all life to seek greater and further expression of itself. And so there's nothing wrong with a human being seeking to become more. It's actually a part of why you're here. You're here to grow. We're going to talk about that one in a little bit. And if you're not growing, you're going unfulfilled. But these individuals are out solely for their own personal growth because they feel they don't matter. They feel they don't have meaning. Whatever beliefs they've conjured up around that, whatever stories they've created, now they're carrying that out in their life so they feel significant and they feel appreciated.
Now, are they consciously, are we consciously aware of this?
A lot of times, more times than not, Roderick, they're not conscious of it.
Okay.
More times than not, Roderick, most folks are not conscious of it. And, and it's really fascinating, because we go through our life looking at ourselves and really, seeking to, fit in, seeking to belong, seeking to matter. And if you don't have that within yourself first and foremost, if you don't know within yourself that you matter, if you don't know within yourself that you already belong, then you will automatically reflect that in your relationships. And most of us, because we're so preoccupied with self, and, you heard the saying that you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
It's like, in essence, when you're in that forest as a tree, you can't see the entire forest. You just see where you are. You see the immediate circumstances of yourself. You're in the picture frame. You don't see the picture.
Right.
And so you now are not even conscious of what you're doing. But what happens is it reflects in your relationships. So you see this antagonistic, dynamic that's unfolding. And this is the thing. I've encountered folks, who have, this sense that they want to matter and have meaning, and that's like their top priority and their top need in their world that they're fulfilling. And these individuals, if that's what you choose, these individuals have made a conscious choice that they're not going to be in any real monogamous committed relationship. And they're just going to be out there experiencing life, enjoying the fruits of life, going out there accomplishing, being successful, and they are living that out. Nothing wrong with that. If that's what you choose to do in your life. But you understand in that choice, you're not affording yourself the experience of a relationship where you're fully committed to another person. Right. And you're going to be more inclined, you're just going to date, and you have your people come in your life, but they are not the top priority in your world. And the fascinating thing, and this is the point I really want to bring home to you and home to the audience, is that we all go through these cycles. There's points in your life where you do have that matter and have meaning as the number one in your life because you're becoming, you're seeking, you're wanting to grow, you're wanting to push yourself, and you make you the top priority. You need to matter. You need to feel that you've made a difference. You need to feel that you have meaning. And
right.
so you put yourself in position for that. And we all go through these stages in our life as we go through the process of fulfilling these needs within ourselves. And so these things are all inherent within us. And so it's just about how we have them arranged in our life and what role they play in the affairs of our life, in particular around our relationships, so that, we're very aware and conscious of where we are, and our partners are as well.
Now, so what happens when, in regards to, like me, I am single, and I think I desire to be in a relationship. How do you find someone on that same level in regards to, or it will help you reflect? Just find somebody on that same conscious level. You see,
okay.
This is important to me because I'm choked up. I can't even say what I'm trying to say.
Understood. Yes, sir. Okay, so first thing I would ask you is, you need to envision in your own mind how this person is, how they show up. What are they like? What are they doing in their life? How do you feel when you're around them? Okay, and I had a really wonderful, very dear friend of mine. We had a conversation around this about how we bring people into our world. And one thing that she said to me is that when you are putting yourself out there in the world, and you're providing that space for someone to enter into, what she really did for her own life and what she encourages clients that she works with to do with their lives is to first and foremost imagine the ideal partner, how he or she shows up. What are they like consciously? What are they like spiritually, emotionally? What are they doing? Are they financially stable? All these kind of things that, you're looking for in what you consider your ideal, okay? Once you have that mental image and, you write that down, you put it down on paper, you take that thought, which is within the mind, within the imagination, and you make it tangible in physical form by writing it out on paper. Then you ask yourself a very powerful question. Who do you have to become in order to attract that individual? And when she told me that, I had to sit down and hold my head.
So I just want to make sure my listeners, did y'all hear that? You have to write down what your dream is, and then you have to ask yourself, how do you need to be in order to draw that person in? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And when I sat there, I was like, it was such a profound conversation that she and I were having around this. And I was like, wow, you're absolutely right. And she's like, Madhi, you're drawing to you the conscious energy that you hold in this moment and what you see of yourself and what you imagine of yourself. And I said, absolutely. And, and I never heard it framed in that way and how she put it. And it was so eloquently done. And so I really, had to look at that first and foremost for myself. And you have to get really honest with yourself then. Because most folks like, you hear it all the time, folks saying, I want, a person like this, and they got to be this way, and, they're going to do this and this, and I don't want somebody who doesn't have a job and all these kind of things. And, okay, you're asking for someone who doesn't have a job, but you don't have one. You're asking for someone who holds a spiritual consciousness, but you're not at that level. And you're complaining that the people who are coming to you and that you're drawing to you are not what you want and not what you desire, and you're wondering why you keep attracting, folks like this. I was consulting with one of my students, and she was like, Professor Brown, I always attract these guys who are just, they just disrespect me, and they just, talk bad to me, and I don't know what it is. I'm just drawing the same kind of people to me. And she's like, so what can I do? She said, because I want someone who respects me. I want someone who, can appreciate who I am as a woman, see my beauty and honor me and such. I said, okay, that's great. I said, I have one question for you. When's the last time you did that for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
I said, how respectful are you to you?
But now let me ask you this question, Dr. Madhi. Let me ask you this question. I mean, there are a lot of people in relationships, and everybody, I'm not downing those people that are, but everybody's just not that self-realized, and they're still involved in relationships.
Yes, and again, this is one of the things we discussed in my stress management class, being mindful. Most of us are mindless. We run around life very mindless, in a mindless fashion. We're not aware. We're not present. We're worried about our future, regretting and hating our past, and you're not present. You're not mindful, and it's in the present that the gifts are to be found. And when you take a moment to be still and just look at your life and look at your circumstances and say, okay, how I'm showing up in my life right now is not serving me. One of the powerful things that I was having a conversation with my father, this is almost 10 years ago. I was in Los Angeles, and I was not happy. I was, there in L.A., and I was studying Chinese medicine, and I thought it was going to be great, but I wasn't happy with it. And we were talking on the phone one day, and, he said, so I was going to ask you a question. He said, have the choices in your life thus far, have they served you? He said, don't worry about them serving me or mom or your siblings or your friends. He said, have they served you? And I said, honestly, Dad, no, they haven't. He said, well, son, it's about time you start making some choices that do. And I had to sit with that. And it was like getting a pile of bricks smacking me over the head. And I was like, wow, okay, I've been making choices in my life that's really going about my day in and day out in a mindless, unconscious fashion. And so what is it that I truly desire to experience? What is it that I really want to have in this life? And so I had to get still and figure that out and start making choices that serve me. And so most of the time when we step into relationships, we go into it very unconsciously, and we look at this individual who we like how they look. We like, their personality, and they look all good and all this wonderful stuff. Right. And we go into it, and we haven't checked in with ourselves. We haven't assessed, okay, what are my moral values? What are my, ethics by which I live? What's my spiritual state and stance on life? What are my day-to-day habits? How do I go about the affairs of my business on a daily basis? And then do a compare and contrast with this individual who you're about to now bring into the most intimate aspect of your world and allow them to share and take up space there. And a lot of times, folks enter into relationships that truly are not serving them, truly not worthy of them, and they carry out this unfoldment of just despair, drama, trauma, and eventually sometimes baby mama, as well. Like all this stuff is happening in their life.
And this is all based on the unfulfillment of those 7 human needs.
First of all, not being aware what those needs are and just going through their life unconsciously and not being true in the choices they're making around their life to serve themselves, to serve those needs, so that they are fulfilled. So when you now enter into a relationship and you're looking to choose a relationship, you're now stepping into it conscious. You're conscious of who you are. You're conscious that, yes, I am fulfilled within, and really coming to a place that, in truth, I don't need anything in you to bring happiness to my life. I'm here to share with you my happiness, my joy, my life.
Okay, that's going to be my new line. My new line. I always get asked why I'm single, and I'm going to tell them now,
Well, Roger, this is the thing. This is the thing you have to understand as well. It's like, this is work. It's not, I'm not going to say stuff is easy. Trust me. I'm like, I work through my process on a daily basis as well. Don't get it wrong here thinking that, I've come to a place where I'm now this guru and this master, and I've achieved, this excellence in the capacity of relationships. It's been a learning process for me, and I've had some wonderful blessings of experiences through wonderful gifts in people entering into my life and reflecting to me the areas that I was not fully actualized in yet, areas that I still needed to grow a little more, become a little more aware of, and begin to do that kind of work. And in doing so, I'm able to really, experience those things. And so we talked about change. We talked about belonging. We talked about having matter and to have meaning in your world. Now, folks, a big one that's huge is, another one of the needs is to be loved and also to love. And for so many folks, as human beings, and I really say this to all life, we're all here in life expressing love and seeking to experience love. And so a lot of times what happens in relationships is you see folks who are going through their journey with these individuals who they say they love, and they feel that they love, and they don't feel love returned. They feel alone in a relationship. And I can't tell you how many folks I've spoken to who feel alone in their relationship, in their family, in their friendship. They feel alone. They feel they're not loved. And when that need is going unmet, you will carry out all kinds of activities. I can't tell you how many people I've had discussions with and conversations with who have a definition of how they've articulated love to be in their life and have chosen relationships that are definitely detrimental to them, definitely not serving them, very harmful, physically, mentally, and emotionally, spiritually, just destroying them. And they stay in it because it's what they've qualified as love, based on what they experienced from many times in utero, before they even came into the world, what they're experiencing in mom's womb.
Wow.
Based on what mom was calling into her world as far as love and what she was experiencing, that was being programmed into this child. And so when it came into the world, into its environment, it began to experience this and identify with it and then classify this is what love means.
Can you say that one more time? That is fun. That's really a good one.
Sure.
So you say in utero they're experiencing this, and let's say that one more time, please.
Absolutely. So based on what that developing child in that gestational period in utero, mom's consciousness, her emotional state, her physical state, how she is living out her life, how she's experiencing her life, and what she has designated as love in her life, whether she feels she's being loved or the lack thereof, all that is now being encoded on the DNA and imprinted upon the nervous system of this child. And so when that child enters into the world, into this environment, it will now begin to take in that which has already been encoded in it, in its development, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in that child's life.
Wow.
He or she now looks at love and qualifies it as, okay, if mom and dad were at odds with each other in the household, if mom was being abused,
right,
the child looks at, okay, because we're all here, we're seeking love, we're here for love, we're here to love and be loved, and so if this is what love means, that I allow this person to abuse me, okay. If it means that I have multiple partners running in my world to get love, okay. If it means that I allow my body to be used in any capacity, in any way, okay.
Wow.
And so, because it's innate within you as a human being to speak out love. It's one of those needs of fulfillment. You need it, you crave it, you desire it. We discuss in medicine, with children, infants who come into the world and they're not physically touched. They're not getting that physical affection and touch. These children will die on you for what we call FTT, failure to thrive. You could feed it, you could change its diaper, but if you're not giving it the physical affection, stimulating its nervous system, where it's feeling and appreciating and connecting with love, they will weaken. Their immune system will begin to weaken. Their body will begin to weaken. They will no longer be able to thrive physically, and they can die. It's very important to us that we are able to, express and experience love. And so based on how we've qualified it, based on how you interpret love, based on your language, of love, all that has a profound influence upon how you experience that particular need. And if it's going unmet, your choices, your thought process, your perceptions, your realities will be dictated by that need.
Wow, Dr. Madhi. We only got about 5 minutes left. I just want to give our listeners a chance. Is there a way they can reach out to you or talk to you?
Oh, absolutely, yes. You can easily reach me via email, Dr. Dr. My first name, Madhi, Mahdi, at asu.edu. And, we're more than happy to connect with you there and, start a dialogue.
Okay. And so what do you have? Do you have any future seminars, or do you have a book coming out? What do you have available?
Well, actually, we have a seminar coming up actually next month here in Arizona. It's going to be down in Safford, Arizona, at the Mineral Hot Springs there, and we're going to be discussing the sweet communion, how to transform your consciousness through food, expand your consciousness through food, and also the healing properties of water. So looking forward to that. Will be on May 17th, 18th, and 19th next month here in Arizona, down in Stafford. It's about 3 hours, away from the Phoenix area at this wonderful, beautiful hot mineral springs. So we're going to have folks out there, getting nourishing foods, very clean, nutrient-dense foods. Also, the hot mineral springs to soothe and nourish their bodies as they take in this wonderful information that we have for them, in the course of that weekend. So we have that coming up. I'm also in the process of finishing up a book that will be out this summer. It's called The Four Secrets to Lasting Health and Longevity. And what that book is talking about is the power of water in your life, the power of proper sleep, proper movement, and proper nutrition. And when those four things are being utilized in the most successful, amazing way, you now have afforded to you lasting longevity. You have the health and vitality. You also have the ability to go out in life and pursue those things that you desire and you wish to experience, because you have this amazing body, this clarity of thought and mind, and this awareness that's now afforded to you because you've taken care of your body, you've taken care of these four essential things that we all need, that for many of us go lacking in our lives and creating disease and disorder. You now put yourself in position for success and growth and just an amazing life. And so that'll be coming out this summer. And yeah, we're going to be definitely putting together other seminars and workshops in the coming months as well.
All right. Well, again, thanks for coming on, and I definitely have to have you again. We barely even touched half of this.
We barely even touched, yeah, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So look forward to having you on again, and I just want to thank you for calling in, and I appreciate you, brother. Talk with you real soon.
Yeah, thank you, and I wanted to say to you, Roderick, please appreciate you creating this venue, this platform for us to have these kind of conversations and get this kind of message out there to the people. You're definitely a blessing here on the planet, and I just wish for you to continue doing the great work that you are.
Thank you, sir. You have a good evening.
You do the same. All right, bye-bye.
All right, and thank you for listening to The Universal Mind with Roderick Watkins. This concludes tonight's episode. This program is available for download or demand on Blog Talk Radio, on blogtalkradio.com, Loudmouth Radio, anytime after 10 p.m. Eastern each Monday. Loudmouth Radio is one of the Internet's hottest online radio networks. Our talk radio shows cover topics that are geared towards empowerment, inspiration, and entertainment. Connect with us live, online, and on demand 24/7 on loudmouthradio.com and share with us your thoughts and what inspires you. Monday nights, 8 p.m., The Universal Mind with Roderick Watkins. Please tune in. Tuesday nights, we have The Bare Truth, Love, Life, Sex, and Flowers with Jazzy Jones. And on Thursday nights, we have Night Talk Live with J.L. King. Currently, we have some exciting rates available for 15 and 30-second spots, as well as premier sponsor rates for advertising with all three of our shows. Thank you again, and this is Universal Mind with Roderick Watkins. Have a good night, and remember, to be more, you must dream of being more.